Everyone, it looks like we have our first guest here. Robert Gutro is our guest. Robert, welcome to the X Zone. We kind of did not know if you were going to be with us or not because we had a blank screen for the first couple of minutes of the show.
Well, it's nice to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks
great.
for having me.
All right, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Rob, I'm a paranormal investigator with Inspired Ghost Tracking in Maryland. I'm also a medium, and I've had this ability since I was about 13 years old. Um, in 2005, I had a puppy that passed away, and he opened the doors really for me with mediumship, and he taught me how animals communicate from the other side too. So I communicate with pets and people.
And let me see. As a medium, what is your part during a paranormal investigation?
So during a paranormal investigation, we have two teams. We have a technical team that goes in first, and they do overnights sometimes. They use cameras, they use digital recorders, they use thermometers, K2 meters, and so forth. All of the equipment that the typical paranormal teams use. And then they catalog any anomalies, and then the mediums get called the next day or a couple of days afterward, and they're not told anything. So we are not told even the address of the house or anything that's transpired in the house until an hour before we get the address. But we still don't get any information before we go in.
And how long have you been doing this as a paranormal investigator medium?
About 12 years.
And over the 12-year span that you've been doing investigations, are we, and I mean everybody who's listening, as well as all the other paranormal investigators out there, are we getting any closer to the truth? Are we getting any closer to finding unequivocal evidence that the paranormal is real and ghosts are real and that it's just not a figment of the imagination?
Well, I think we've all had our experiences, certainly. And so I'm a scientist in my day job. I'm a meteorologist. So I explain the paranormal in terms of energy. And because energy can't be destroyed, it can only be transformed. What I've come to figure out is that the energy within us, the physical energy, couples with memories, personality, and knowledge. And then we choose to stay earthbound. And that's what I call a ghost in a fixed location of our choosing. Or we cross over and we join the energies of the cosmos or heaven, whatever you want to call the other side. And I call that a spirit. So there's a difference between a ghost and a spirit. One's fixed in a location on Earth and the other one has crossed over, and they can appear anywhere, anytime in the world.
Or we can just die and that's it. You forgot that possibility.
Well, that's true. There's countless possibilities, but I have been talking to people and pets who passed for a long time, and I because I'm a scientist, I have to get confirmation. So that's what's important to me.
Okay. These people who pass and that you're able to communicate with, why do they choose you to communicate with? Why not somebody else?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I've learned that spirits and ghosts have the ability to sense who can sense them.
Right.
Yeah. So they don't necessarily pick me, but whenever I walk into a location where they are,
right,
they will communicate with me. And that happened when I was on vacation in England. Happened when I was on vacation in Tombstone, Arizona. Many ghosts decided to reveal themselves for various reasons.
And these ghosts are ghosts of kings, queens, peasants, or right across the spectrum.
It really was right across the spectrum. So I visited England in 2012 and 2013. And I went to a lot of places that were related to Tudor era structures. And there was a wide range. I did run into a queen. I ran into a nobleman, various palace workers that stayed behind, somebody that tended a pub. So it was quite a variety.
When you're communicating with these spirits, is there one single message that you keep getting repeatedly over time, or does the message just connect with different things? Is it like, what's the typical message that you'd get?
So one of the most common things that we get is to help somebody, and what they uh, basically want help with is
Hmm.
to cross over and stop being earthbound, because after a while, ghosts can see the transition of their environment, so they know the time passes, although really they can't figure out how much time passes. Um, but they want help leaving their isolation prison on Earth, if you will, and that's what we do. We
Why didn't they cross when they had the opportunity? Why did they wait till later on?
I find a number of reasons why. Some people think that they can continue to do what they did in life.
Mhm.
Others think that they can help their loved ones through the grieving process, which they really can't as an earthbound ghost. Um, and others still fear crossing over. What I've come to learn is that people who tend to be more uh, devout in their religious beliefs have a deeper fear of the other side, because we all get a basically our life review when we pass, and they
Mhm.
look at any small thing that they've done as something that may prevent them from achieving peace on the other side. And I've come to learn that there is no bad place on the other side. I think that being trapped as an earthbound ghost for eternity, where you can't speak to anybody, is really an idea of hell.
All right. I have a little bit of a misunderstanding here on my side because I thought that the life review is something that happens when you get to the other side. So is this the life review that people talk about in biblical terms?
Well, I'm not familiar really with the biblical terms, but what I know is that once we pass,
Hmm.
we have a little time period between the time we become fixed in location as a ghost or we
Right.
cross over, and we get that life review pretty much immediately right after our death.
All right. So that's the same as going up to the Golden Gates and St. Peter looks in the book to see whether or not you are justified in going into heaven or not. Yes. No.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
would say so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are countless religions in the world,
Hmm.
and everybody looks at everything differently. But so I'm in my books, in the way that I look at things, I look at things scientifically in terms of energy, so people can apply their own religious beliefs to what I write.
Okay. Speaking about science, what is your degree in?
Now I have 3 degrees.
Okay.
I have a degree in meteorology, I have a degree in English and business, and I have a degree in radio and television.
Okay, now your degree in meteorology, how does that equate to working in the paranormal? You said before, I believe it was something to do with energy.
Yeah, for me, it's all about energy. So
Hmm.
the degree in meteorology really does apply to energy. There's physics involved too. Um, so, for instance, I've been able to explain why, in the presence of a ghost, sometimes we feel cold spots, if you
Hmm.
will. You may, listeners may have heard that. So what happens is, because ghosts and spirits are
Yeah.
energy, they need energy to get strong enough to communicate with us. So what they do is they absorb the energy of the motion of air molecules. And what that does is it slows them down. And fast moving molecules of air are warm air, and slower moving molecules of air are cooler air. And that's why we feel a cold spot.
Could there be another explanation for that?
Well, there could be, but as I said, I'm a scientist and I look at energy and physics, and that's my explanation. So,
Oh, okay.
I'm sure that there may be another one when I get to the other side. I'll let you
I hope you don't.
know.
We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Explanation. Robert Gutro is our guest this hour. Robert, tell us about your book, Ghosts and Spirits.
Well, Ghosts and Spirits was my very first book, and it basically outlines the difference between a ghost and a spirit. They're both basically what happens after we die, and the difference is that one is earthbound and the other one is crossed over. So they're both comprised of a soul, which is memories, personality, and knowledge. And every living thing has a soul. That includes animals. Um, and they both use energy. They use physical energies like heat, light, water, and electricity. They also use emotional energies. And here's the difference. Ghosts use negative emotional energy. That means they use fear, anxiety, depression, and anger. Um, and spirits use positive emotional energy. That means love, faith, and hope. And those are the things that empower them to get strong enough to come back and give us a sign they're around.
How come everybody doesn't have these connections with spirits or ghosts? Only some people.
Well, I think that we all have the ability to a degree. Some have a greater ability. I know that my abilities have run in my family. My mother had the ability and she was afraid to use it. I found out that my grandfather had the ability, and a cousin on my mother's side had the ability. But I have brothers, and neither one of them have it. So it's kind of scattershot, really.
But if this is energy, wouldn't everyone be able to connect with the energy field or the force field or the magnetic field, and not just, it seems to be, the selective few?
Sure. No, everybody really does. It's just a matter of being aware of it. So, for instance, Rob, if you walk into a room full of people and in the room, you're attracted to somebody that you feel like you want to just say hello to or talk with and get to know them. Conversely, there are other people that you choose to stay away from.
Sure.
You choose to ignore. What you're doing is you are reading the energy of those people.
Or am I reading their body language?
Yeah, well, also their body language. Their body language is actually part of their energy.
Oh,
So,
it is. Okay.
yeah. So that's what mediums do. We just read energy of people who pass.
Okay. Has there ever been a time where you've tried to communicate with somebody who's departed and they want nothing to do with the communication that you're trying to, you're trying to have with them?
Sure, because we all maintain our personalities when we pass, and if you're stubborn in life, you're going to be stubborn in death, and that makes it harder too to cross people over because sometimes they don't want to go.
So
And
where does reincarnation fall into place in all of this talk about spirits and ghosts?
well, it's my understanding that we all come back if we're not earthbound as a ghost. Earthbound ghosts are stuck until they cross over somehow. But we all come back. We're all connected when we come back.
How do we know that?
That's my understanding.
How do we know that?
How do we know that?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes people have past lives, and they're drawn to people in this life that they were connected to in the previous life. I had a past life experience when I went to Tombstone, Arizona for the first time. I was fascinated with Tombstone, Arizona for some reason I couldn't figure it out. But the first day I got there, within 2 minutes, somebody asked me where a building was that was built in 1882. And this was before internet, before phones, before anything. And I got there and I actually gave them explicit directions to go down 2 streets, take a left, go down 1 street, take a right, and the courthouse, was on the left-hand side. And my friend who was with me was astounded. He said, "Where did you send that guy? How do you know that?" And I didn't have an answer, but we followed my directions, and sure enough, it was there. So I realized that I actually lived there during that time.
Based on that one experience.
Sure, absolutely. We're drawn to places and things in this life that we were likely connected to in a previous life.
I can't follow that. I can't follow the thought that we always come back. So
Well,
basically, past lives is just a recycling center for souls.
in a way, everybody's experience is different. Your experience is absolutely different than my experience. I'm not saying that that's the rule of thumb because I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah.
I'm only telling you what I know.
Now,
Based
these past life investigations are usually conducted under hypnosis. Am I correct?
some of them are done by meditation.
Oh,
I do know somebody that did do one by hypnosis. Um, I participated in one that was just a meditation. I'm not really well versed in past life regression, um, but I've talked to people who have had it.
so why do we come back? Why don't we just now? You see, if you look at different religious philosophies, you don't come back. You look at other philosophies, you do come back. How is John Q. Public supposed to believe anything within the paranormal without any substantial proof, without a smoking gun, without, I mean, with all the controversy in religious philosophies themselves? How is John Q. Public supposed to believe any part of the paranormal?
Well, they're really not. I mean, it's really based on their own experience and their own feelings. I can't, like I
Hmm.
said, I can only speak from my experience. I can't speak for everybody, and there's no set rule. We just don't know.
Yeah.
Um, so,
Then how do we do anything? How do we conduct anything if there's no set rule? As a scientist, you know that there are set rules. There are set rules in physics. There are set rules in mathematics. There are set rules in quantum physics and quantum mechanics. Then how come with the paranormal, there are no set rules? If people like yourself who go out do investigations and,
mhm.
and write books, who don't follow set rules, how come?
Well, we certainly follow guidance that we've been able to put together,
Okay.
but it's not necessarily applicable to everybody. I mean, just like one person's religious beliefs are not applicable to anybody else. Everybody has a different experience. So we only do what we know,
Mhm.
um, and we try to figure out the rest. It's pretty much like living a life. I mean, we we all don't know where life is going to take us, but we do our best to try and figure it out as we go along.
But when you go out and do a paranormal investigation, you use certain tools. You use different types of cameras. You use electromagnetic meters and so on. How do you know that the instruments that you're using on a paranormal investigation are in fact looking for the right evidence if there are no rules?
Well, I'm not a technical guy,
Okay,
um, so
but you're a scientist.
well, sure, I'm a scientist, but I can only use my head.
Okay,
As a medium, what I do is I get impressions, and then I we later talk to the homeowner
right.
and see if those impressions match exactly what their experience is. So to me, that's what I do.
Oh,
So if you want uh, proof of why we use technical instruments, you should
no.
probably talk to a technology
What
guy.
what I, what I was trying to get at is,
Yeah,
as a scientist, there are rules that are followed in order to substantiate your findings, right or wrong.
sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
So how come when dealing with the paranormal and the people that you deal with, maybe I'm taught, maybe as the medium, this is out of your off your pay grade, but as a scientist, when you look at the investigations that you go under, uh, do you find it hard at times to follow the trail of breadcrumbs that a paranormal investigation will conclude with, because basically it's a free for all, because how many thousands of paranormal investigators are there out there compared to how much evidence is being brought forth, if any?
Sure, it's difficult.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, it's not an exact
No.
science. We're just struggling to learn how things happen. My only proof as a medium is when I give readings, like for people who lost pets, and they confirm all of these things that I've given them, whether it's the name of somebody on the other side of the past, how they dressed, what their habits were, places that they lived, what their environment looked like, some kind of incident in their past, things that I wouldn't possibly know. But that's what I look for, is confirmation. And that's what scientists look for. We look for confirmations. So
they look for
but I'm not here
confirmation.
as a scientist. So let me make that perfectly clear. I am not here as a scientist. I am here as a medium. That's what I do.
But you were the one who put the scientist hat on. I didn't.
No, that's just that's a part of me. That's not. So I'm here talking to you as a medium.
Okay.
Because this is what I do. I'm not here talking to you as a scientist. That's a different side of me. But it's all about, the paranormal is something that we're all trying to explain, and we do it based on our own experiences.
Okay, so let's talk about your hat as a medium. All right, let's forget about the scientist. Let's forget about the broadcaster. Let's forget about the business guy. Let's talk about the medium. Since COVID, have you found that the questions that you're being asked to ask those on the other side have changed, or are they basically the same questions that have always been the reason why people go to mediums?
No, I have decided that I do not want to communicate with people on the other side, other than being a paranormal investigator.
Hold on. Whoa. Hold on here. You don't want to talk to people on the other side unless it's as a paranormal investigator. But you told me you just wanted to be a medium. So
okay,
if you don't...
let me clarify for you.
Okay.
Here. So as a medium,
right,
I can communicate with people,
yeah,
and pets on the other side, animals.
All right, but you choose to communicate with the animals, not the people.
That's correct.
All right. So you're a pet medium.
Yep, that's pretty much what people call me. And the reason is because, as you know, people have way too many hangups. I would rather talk to a pet because pets don't have the emotional hangups that people have.
All right, this is from the information that you provided our producers. Your field of expertise. Rob Gutro is an author, paranormal investigator, and medium with inspired ghost tracking of Maryland. He's become known as a pet medium, although he communicates with pets and people who have passed.
Yeah.
All right, but you just said you're a pet medium. You said you'd rather talk to pets than people.
Right. I mean, I do communicate with both, but what I do is I like to narrow my focus to pets.
Okay.
Because there are so many people that have pets that are grieving very deeply, losing it. I don't know if you have pets, but
I've got 3 of them.
Okay, so losing a pet can be like losing a child.
Oh, definitely.
Because we raise them the same way. And
right.
And I've read studies where people have actually been in deep grief after the loss of their pet. I've actually talked with people who have told me they were going to commit suicide, and I sent them to therapists, had them call the suicide prevention hotline.
Right.
It's a very emotional thing. So because I have this ability, and not all mediums tend to have the ability to communicate with pets. I had a puppy that was tragically killed that allowed me to do this. So I just narrow the field. There are so many other mediums that will talk to people. So I just want to help people that lost their pets, because I'm a dog dad. I worked at animal rescue for 15 years plus. So animals have a very special place in my heart.
Mine too. Mine too. But like when a member of my family dies, I don't go to a medium. So I would imagine that if I have a pet that passes, in fact, I've had pets that pass, and I deal with the grief, but I don't go seeking outside help. If I was going to seek outside help, it would be with a psychologist, a trained professional.
That's good. You have a different uh, you have a different outlook than some people.
Mhm.
Um,
But
and
why would somebody who lost a pet go to a medium? All right, you've I'll give credit to people when it comes to the loss of a loved one. They go to a medium to end what they didn't end during that person's life. But what does a medium tell the pet owner? Like, is Skippy happy up in heaven? Or does
you know,
Skippy come back as an animal, or does Skippy come back as a human with reincarnation? Who knows?
it's much deeper than just being happy on the other side, and um, they will convey ways that they have already tried to communicate. Um, they will explain different things that happen in their lifetimes. Um, they will tell me which ways they're going to appear to their pet parent. There's a whole variety of things.
All
So,
right, let
I
me
mean,
ask you.
granted, it's easy to dismiss it
Mhm.
if you're confident enough to work through your grief without talking to somebody like me.
All
But
right,
I'm
let
not
me ask you
here.
this. Let me ask you this. Okay. You're dealing with people at a very vulnerable moment in their
Sure,
life.
absolutely.
I would imagine that it would be very easy for you or any other medium to steer the those in grief into looking for these little signs and on how I'm using the name Skippy. Skippy will reappear to them. Skippy will, come to them in a dream or whatever. How do we know that this is really what the pet is transmitting to you, and not what you, with the very best of intentions, are telling the mom and the dad of the pet?
Pets will share memories with me, things
Okay,
that I would never know, and they do that as proof. They've also shared with me the way in which they've passed, ways that things that I wouldn't know. All I ask for is a
right.
photograph
Okay,
and the name of the pet. That's it. That's all I ask for. I don't ask. I don't know where they live.
okay.
I don't know what they do for a living. I don't know what their house is.
Mhm.
I have no idea. I don't know if they have other pets. Um, so I I'm I'm not a medium who I'm not in the business, if you will. I'm a career meteorologist. I
Right.
do this on the side. I
Yeah.
don't do this to take advantage of people by any means. I do this to try and help people because I will tell you that when I lost my puppy in 2005, I wish
Mhm.
that I could talk to somebody,
Why couldn't you
but
talk to your
nobody was
parents?
there. Nobody was
Why
there.
you no parents, no friends, no member of the clergy?
Sure. Yeah. No. I will tell you that I have a problem with members of the clergy because some
Why?
members of the clergy have told little boys
Mhm.
that their dog doesn't have a soul and they will never see their dog again.
But
And
that's a matter of belief. You yourself
well,
said before it's belief.
but that's
Believe what
fine.
you want, quote unquote. So how
That's
can you not turn the other cheek and say, "Hey, if that's what you feel, that's your right."
that's fine. But if you're a member of the clergy, you don't say that to a little boy. That little boy that I know that of a friend of mine
Mhm.
had a breakdown. He had an emotional breakdown because some member of the clergy was not wise enough to use his heart and his head and not get that kid upset.
Oh, but you can't
And
you
that's
can't you
ridiculous.
can't you can't taint all members of the clergy
No,
for that, because
absolutely not.
God knows the weatherman isn't always right either, and yet we still listen to you guys.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know why you're trying to be confrontational with me.
I'm not.
I'm I'm
I'm just trying to
I'm
get
here to
answers.
just trying to be nice try, I'm I'm just here to tell you that
Mhm.
uh, uh, that people grieve over pets very deeply.
I
We
Some people
grieve,
I imagine do.
we grieve, and we want answers. We need closure. People want to know how their pets passed away, why their pet passed away, and so
Yeah.
forth. And if I can help with that, that's great.
One question before we say so long: do you charge for your services?
I charge a very small fee because it takes an hour to do everything
All right.
for one person.
Thank you, Rob. That's what I was afraid we were going to do. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. Just imagine that. He's a weatherman. He's a broadcaster. He is a business person. He tainted all the members of the clergy because of one example. He wants to do all this wonderful work, but he charges for it. Well, there you go. Some of the comments that we're getting here in our studio. I don't know, Exo Nation. One says he should, what does one person say? Craig, fire that over to me. You can tell he's a weatherman because he doesn't exactly know what to say, how to say it, when to say it. And he should stick to weather and leave the poor animals alone. Another person says, why would anybody sucker people in to hear their sad stories and then have the audacity to charge them money? Well, what can I say? I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Beautiful Mind Coffee is delicious coffee your brain will love. Made with ethically sourced 100% Arabica coffee grown in the volcanic soil of the Tolima, Colombia region, Beautiful Mind Coffee is roasted and ground in small batches to ensure each bag contains a wonderful full-bodied artisan coffee. Beautiful Mind Coffee contains herbal ingredients to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Maca root powder, green tea extract and American ginseng have all been selected for their ability to support good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind Coffee. For more information on Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit us online at www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available at amazon.ca.
And the X Zone radio TV show is brought to you by the good people at Beautiful Mind Coffee, www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. All right, our guest of this hour was, let me see, what's his name again? Bob Gutro. Professionally, he's a meteorologist. And when we ask somebody to come on the show or they want to come on the show, they have to fill out a guest submission form. And when Bob sent us his, and our producers are very specific. They say, what is your area of expertise? And the information we got back was Rob Gutro is an author, paranormal investigator, and medium with Inspired Ghost Tracking of Maryland. He's become known as a pet medium, although he communicates with pets and people who have passed. Well, he told us during the interview that he wasn't really a paranormal investigator. He goes in as a medium. Later on in the interview, he said that he preferred to do mediumship with animals and not people. You know what? Some days you get the head, and other days you get the tail. And in this case, because we were talking about animals, I guess we got the tail of the draw on this one. Apparently, he's been featured in the Washington Post, MSNBC, WBZ News Radio Boston. Let me see, Ghost Chronicles Radio. That's a podcast. Haunted Road Medium. That's a podcast. And many other paranormal programs in the US, UK, Canada, and Ireland. His website lists appearances and interviews. Geez, I don't think we're going to make this one, gang. Maybe I should contact a medium to see what's really happening behind the scenes here. Look, Let's call a spade a spade. I'm skeptical. I really am. When it comes to people like this, I'm skeptical. When somebody goes to you with their heart in their hand because their pet that they love has died, and they want you to act as an intermediary because you're known as the pet medium, because you're a great person, because you've worked with animals, because you allegedly care. And then what happens? Well, for this hour, it's going to cost you so much money. Nope. It's just like there's podcasts out there that charge guests to come on their show. We don't, because number one, we're not a podcast. Number two, we're a professional broadcast company. Number three, we're journalists. Over the last 33 years, we've exposed, I don't know how many alleged mediums, psychics, paranormal investigators. It's just unbelievable what lengths some people will go through in order to make a dollar. I don't care if you're a quantum physicist. I don't care if you're a brain surgeon. I don't care if you're a meteorologist. If I think that there is something more than meets the eye, I will dig. I will dig hard. I will do my very best to get to the bottom of what you are really about. Now, when we looked at his, Craig was just mentioning that his entire backdrop was him, his books, this, that, and the other thing. That is a little bit of a hint to us on what kind of interview it's going to be. Why this person is coming on the show. As you notice, I mentioned his book once. Sorry, no free commercials here. Hey, there's an idea. If you want a commercial, you pay us. Just like people pay you to communicate with their animal on the other side. Shame, 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 shame. I'll be back at the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Do me a favor. Send me an email. Tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong. Xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. That's my email address. It has been for 33 years. Xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Beautiful Mind Coffee is delicious coffee your brain will love. Made with ethically sourced 100% Arabica coffee grown in the volcanic soil of the Tolima, Colombia region, Beautiful Mind Coffee is roasted and ground in small batches to ensure each bag contains a wonderful full-bodied artisan coffee. Beautiful Mind Coffee contains herbal ingredients to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Maca root powder, green tea extract and American ginseng have all been selected for their ability to support good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind Coffee. For more information on Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit us online at www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available at amazon.ca.